It's Lauren here from the Thinking Closet, and I'm here for my second Periscope, which is very exciting indeed. Great to see some of my friends joining. Hi Kirsten, hi Meg, and everyone, new friends as well. It's great to have you here. And I just thought, as a fun little icebreaker, we could talk first about our favorite yummy drink, because it's Friday and I had to go get a good old Starbucks drink. Oh, and yay, hi Amy. So maybe you guys can comment right now with your favorite yummy drink. It doesn't have to be Starbucks, although I do enjoy me a little Starbs every now and then. This happens to be an iced coffee, the new like cold brew kind, and it has a little coconut milk and cinnamon. So, of course, Kirsten from Sweet Tea and Saving Grace, she loves the sweet tea. I mean, it's true to her name. Hi Regina, so many great friends. Here Motherhood loves Sonic. Very good, very good. In the winter months, I'm a chai tea latte girl. Gotta say it, I love the sweet. But during the summer lately, I've been rocking the iced coffee. So please don't mind me while I take a few sips during our convo tonight. So anyway, yesterday was my very first scope. And as I shared, I was pretty terrified going into it. And I had the shakes, I had it all, but by the time it ended, I felt energized. And it was this like fantastic feeling of like conquering a fear, and I was actually like eager just to jump into my very next scope right away, but I was like, okay, I gotta take a shower, so we'll do that first. But I decided it would be good to just follow it up today with a second one, and thanks for all the kind comments, Regina, everyone. You know, and that's the topic I wanted to address, this idea of fear, and whether it's something that holds us back or something we channel into positive energy that helps us succeed, because I think it is possible. And actually, you all helped me come up with this topic for today, because the great thing about Periscope that I am just digging is this fantastic give-take between speaker and audience, and that you guys are live and you're here with me, and I can see through your hearts on the side and through your comments like what you're thinking. And yesterday in the broadcast, I actually got the most comments and engagement from something that was just sort of like a throwaway comment at the end of our scope, and I had mentioned the concept of extra points for shaking and for shakes, and everybody was like, oh, that's so interesting and so funny. And I'll actually retell that for those of you who may have missed it a little bit later in the broadcast. But I had a little light bulb moment of, okay, like there's something in this. Let's look at that a little bit deeper. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I've sort of titled this broadcast, 5 Strategies for Overcoming the Fear of Public Speaking, How to Conquer It. And this is a subject that I'm very passionate about, in part because as a young lass, as a child, I really struggled with the fear of public speaking. And it was something that did hold me back a lot. And I know, like, from all the report cards that would get sent home, I would often get, you know, a lot of praise and a lot of positive things, but the one area that always was like the room for improvement part was, Lauren, she could speak up more in class, you know, we'd love to hear her voice. So, and I know this might be hard to believe now because I'm fairly outgoing and I have pursued a life of theater, but I wasn't always this way, and it's been something that I've wrestled with for a long time. And, you know, even as an adult, and even with all of my theater experience and time teaching in front of the classroom, I still get nervous before even things that shouldn't really be that nerve-wracking, like at a small meeting at church and it's my turn to share. I feel that like stomach clenching, throat closing, you know, I'd love to even know, those of you who are joining me, like, what are the symptoms of fear that you experience when you are public speaking? Because we all have them. And shaking is one of them. Shaking physically, shaking in my voice. I start to feel like I sound like a different person. I get the clammy hands, and yet I'm like sweating, and it happens every time. And that's something that I try to tell people, because they're like, oh, but you seem so confident. It's like, yeah, but I am fighting through fear. And so I thought we could talk about that today. And I actually did a little bit of brainstorming beforehand to think of 5 strategies for how to overcome that. And Kirsten just shared, I was a bundle of nerves this morning at Haven, shaky hands and sweating. I hear ya. It is so, it's so real for so many of us. And yeah, I think like we probably don't talk about it enough as adults because we think we should have grown out of it by now, but I know a lot of people struggle with it. And so I thought we could dedicate just a little bit of time to talking about ways to conquer it. If you're just tuning in, again, I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Lauren, and you can find me over at thinkingcloset.com. And yeah, we're talking about fear, public speaking, what I'm doing right now on Periscope. So I'm getting to put into practice what I'm going to share with you guys. So let's dive in. First way to overcome that fear is to actually acknowledge that it's scary. Let's just call a spade and say that public speaking is scary. I think that's so much better than pretending that it's not, because we all know with big bad things in our lives that we try to like shove under the rug, they don't stay there forever, and they're gonna rear their ugly heads eventually. And the same thing will happen with fear. If you try to like pretend like, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, in the middle of your speech, you're gonna be just overwhelmed by that fear as it returns. So I always like to first acknowledge, you know, whether I'm teaching a group of students who are about to give a speech or share a poem or a monologue, or whether it's even just to myself, I like to say like, let's just talk about this. This is scary. Let's get real. And I think just by naming it and calling it what it is, it starts to take some power away from that fear. I know that like I've even acknowledged fear in the midst of talking, which I did yesterday, and I'm doing right now. Like, this is still scary. There's still like vibrations happening within me because something feels like it's at risk. And I think just by saying it, it will help you relax and help you be more present and conquer the fear that's holding you back from speaking. So that's the first one. The second strategy for conquering fear of public speaking is to practice and rehearse in a safe environment. And I sort of mean that in 2 different ways. One, I think it's good to push yourself to speak up in small little environments, in small ways, before like thrusting yourself into, say, a talk at Haven. So it would be good to, if you're in a class, to like push yourself to like answer a question or join in on a discussion before you're the one up there giving a lecture. And it's kind of just like the concept of like, it's good to just dip your toe in the pond before you jump in the lake. I don't know if that's a little bit of a mixed metaphor, but it works in my mind. So just getting comfortable with that. That's something that I've done and continue to do, is just to push myself to take that risk in a safe space. And then secondly, practice, if you have a speech that you're giving or a monologue or a talk, practice giving that specific talk with someone else, whether it's a spouse or a friend, just someone who is a safe person, who with whom you can kind of get out all those nerves in advance, and who might give you constructive feedback. So I'll even practice by myself or in a mirror. That's so much better than just delivering it for the first time in front of a huge room. So the more practice that you do, the more comfortable you'll be and the more confident you'll be when it comes time to giving that speech. Bye, Kirsten. I'll see you later. Have a good dinner. So those are the first two. And those of you who might be just joining us, we're talking about strategies for conquering fear of public speaking. So first, acknowledge the fear, kind of call it what it is, take away its power. And two, practice speaking in safe environments first. The third one might sound a little kooky, but it works, guys. The third one is to practice deep breathing. And I sometimes underestimate the power that oxygen has to put us at ease, but it is real. In fact, I want us to practice it right now. So wherever you are, I want you just to pause and let's all just take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And let's do it again. Deep breath in, let it out. And I don't know about you, but I automatically feel way more calm than I did before. It really does work. And I will even sometimes write to myself on my notes in the middle of a speech, breathe, breathe, take a breath. Because I can easily get into talking really fast and kind of getting clenched up in my throat, and I can forget to breathe. And that's when my body starts to shut down in not good ways. So just taking some breaths, taking your time, not rushing, it really does a body good. So whether it's in the moments before you're getting ready to stand up and speak, or if you're being introduced by someone and you have a few moments to breathe, and during that talk, just keep breathing. It will just help set the whole body and your mind at ease. It really does work. And I will even do that, like, if I could tell, like, I'm a little bit stressed around the house, I'm not even speaking, I'm just stressed, I will just stop and take a few breaths. And I'm like, that was really good. That was a good use of my 10 seconds. So deep breathing, that's number 3. 4, this is the one that we talked about yesterday that inspired this whole conversation of conquering fear, is extra points for shaking. What do I mean by that? So extra points for shaking was originally taught to me by Mark Lewis, my college theater professor. And he's taught me a lot. So you heard about him yesterday and you'll probably hear about him again. But he would always tell us when we would stand up in front of the class to do a scene or a monologue, you know, he really worked with us to be present with what was happening in our bodies. And for most of us, we were shaking because we were nervous. And he would even have us like, he's like, okay, hold out your hand. Like, acknowledge the shakes, and we would hold it out in front of the whole class and acknowledge that we were shaking. And what he would say, the reason he gives extra points for shaking is because if you're shaking, it means that it's important to you. There's something going on in your body related to adrenaline that says, whoa, this is a big deal. And out of that comes the shakes, comes the clamminess, comes the closed throat. So if you can reframe those symptoms of fear as something that's positive, something that means you care about it, it's important to you, whoa, that's a huge mental shift that is going to work in your favor. And so even just telling myself, okay, I'm shaking, that's good, instead of, oh my goodness, I'm shaking, I'm going to look like a fool, I'm terrified. It is a world of difference for how I go into public speaking. I would say it continually to my students in English classroom, theater classroom. I say it to adult actors going into auditions, just saying, look, it's a good thing. Don't be afraid of the shakes. Channel the shakes because it means you care, and that's so very good. And so acknowledging that fear is connected to like acknowledging the shakes. It's happening and it's a good thing. So that's the 4th strategy for conquering fear of public speaking. It's probably my favorite one. And last but not least, choose to see your audience as allies and not enemies. So if you go into a speech thinking, oh no, are they going to reject me? Are they going to think I look foolish? Am I going to lose social standing with these people? That is going to really cause you to just be overcome by fear and not have a good time and probably not give a very good speech. So instead, choose to believe the best about the people who are watching you, who are in the audience, who are engaged. And that can be tricky because sometimes we can look out at a sea of people and not see any response. You know, it's like a blank stare or the arms crossed, you know, or a yawn. And usually though, the thing about those signals is that often it actually has nothing to do with you, right? Like the yawn means they stayed up pretty late the night before. Or, you know, the crossed arms is just because that's how they sit. And so while it would be awesome to have an audience that's really sitting up straight and smiling and attentive, and I think as audience members we can strive for that, it doesn't always happen. So we can just choose to just acknowledge that, like, okay, the signals I'm getting doesn't mean it's all about me. It's probably about them and something else. And if you choose to see them as people who are rooting for you, then you're not going to be held back by fear anymore. Because really, like, what do you have to lose? Like, what's the worst that could happen? And actually, I wanted to share quickly a story of something that my English students came up with. We were getting ready to do a poetry slam in our classroom, and it was around Christmas break, and it was like halfway through the year, and the students were starting to feel more comfortable with each other, but they were really scared about the idea of newcomers, like parents and other teachers, coming into the classroom to hear them speak. So we kind of talked about that, acknowledged the fear. We worked on a few different exercises in class, but something that organically came out of those conversations was this opportunity that they saw to cheer each other on, and how helpful it would be if they looked out at this audience and saw people rooting for them. And so what they did, and this was their idea, what they did is that they created on just like sheets of paper little signs that had like encouraging phrases written on them, like "Go Mackenzie," and like "You can do it." And then during their poems that they read up there, their classmates would just like carefully, like if this was their little sign, like they would just very stoically lift it up so like it didn't distract the other audience members, and just hold it up so that when their friends looked out at them, they saw like, "You could do it, you've got this," loud and proud. And so I remembered that. I had kind of forgotten that, and I remembered that today, and I thought, we can visualize that. The imagination is a powerful tool. So what if when you were giving a speech, you looked out and you saw, whether it's encouraging phrases or even just place people in the room who aren't really there? Just imagine your sibling who has your back no matter what, or imagine your spouse. Imagine the people in your life who do cheer you on. If you place them in the room with you through the power of your imagination, as kooky as that sounds, it will put you at ease, and it will give you the confidence you need to have fun and to really connect with the audience in a wonderful way as your allies and not as your enemies. So there you have it, friends. Those are my 5 strategies for conquering the fear of public speaking, because the fear is real. Trust me, I know, but it does not have to hold us back. We can really use that fear as a gift. As crazy as it sounds, we can use that fear to help empower us to get through it. And the feeling of utter elation and pride that you will have after getting through it will make your next public speaking event even better. And then your next one even better. And your next one even better. It's a journey. It's not going to be like an instant, you're not going to be an instantly awesome public speaker. But give yourself grace to grow and learn, and just keep getting up there, keep shaking. It's extra points if you shake. And I have confidence that in no time, you're just gonna be like fearless, and you're gonna be the one empowering others to do the same. Because that's sort of been my story. I I really do understand what it is to be crippled by fear. And now that I'm starting to be freed of that, I want others to have it. And that means you. So yeah, that's my story. And I would love to know, those of you who are with us, whether it's live or in the replay, I would love to know what your strategies are for conquering fear, if you have any. I know there's so many more. It was actually hard for me to limit it to just 5. So like, what are the strategies you use when it comes time to give a speech or give a talk or teach a lesson or perform on a stage? What are the strategies you use for calming yourself and giving a confident, fearless speech? I would love to know. And I'm actually going to transform this little talk we had into a blog post. I decided it's an important enough one that I want to share it with the interwebs. So if you visit thinkingcloset.com this weekend, I will have published a post and we can have some conversations in the comments over there as to other strategies, because I really do believe that we can learn from each other where all things are concerned, but especially this. So if you enjoyed this, please share. If you swipe right, I believe you can hit the share button, or if you're on Android, swipe up. And I would love for others to get to join in on this conversation. So I appreciate you guys helping to spread the word. And if you want to follow along with my adventures in all things creative and crafty and DIY related, you can subscribe to my newsletter, which goes out once a week. And that's over at thinkingcloset.com/email. So I would love to have you join us over in email land. Lots of fun stuff happens. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I toast you with my Starbucks iced coffee. Thanks for the heart love. Thanks for those of you who are with me. And I hope this gets your weekend off to a great start. Maybe you can find an opportunity to practice some of this in a safe environment, which was our second tip. So push yourself to let your voice be heard, even in just a conversation with friends. If you tend to be someone who sits back and just listens, push yourself to be the one to join in. And alternatively, if you're someone who tends to be a chatterbox, which I can be depending on the situation, then push yourself to sit back and be a good audience member for your friends who might need a little bit of encouragement. You can hold up a sign cheering them on. That way we're advocates for each other in our own journeys of conquering fear of public speaking. And oh, good to see you, Nicole. So thanks again for everyone joining us, and I will catch you guys later on Periscope and over on the blog, The Thinking Closet. Farewell.